Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's video will be demonstrating a few rich areas in the northwest of England, including Alderley, Wilmslow and Didsbury. These areas are surrounded by lots of millionaires, and I'm going to go to people and ask them what they do for work, how much money can one make in that position. And also, since the US presidential election is coming up, who would they think would be the better candidate as far as England is concerned? So would that be Donald Trump or would that be Kamala Harris, and why? So please watch the video. Don't forget to like it if you enjoy it and leave me some comments. Thank you so much. Hi there, how are you?
Hi, okay. Lovely day here in the UK.
Absolutely. Hi sir, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you so much for taking part in our interview. I highly appreciate that. So what do you do for work, both of you, at the moment?
I'm a software engineer.
I'm a sustainability consultant.
I'm in private equity.
Private equity,
Yeah.
at the
I'm a
moment.
financial advisor.
I'm retired, but I do some work for the National Health Service.
I own a cafe.
You own a cafe, lovely.
Yep.
Right, I'm a retired chartered accountant, age 72.
Okay, and how long did you do that for?
All my working life.
I've been retired for 40 years.
40 years. Lovely. And what did you do prior to the retirement?
I was an admin officer
Admin
for
officer.
the generating board.
And if someone wants to get into that field and start a cafe business, how much would you say one could make in a year, approximately?
As in profit or revenue?
Revenue, and obviously whichever you want to mention here.
I think when you own a business, it's the same like going to the gym. The amount of effort that you put in, that's
Yep.
exactly what you get out. So I started that place and he was doing days with £60 a day, and now after 6 years he's got £500,000 turnover.
Okay, and how much would you say one can make in your position as a professional chartered accountant? Could they make a six-digit sum
A six,
per annum?
A six-digit figure would be no problem whatsoever.
Per annum, yeah.
Yeah, and generally in companies, the finance director is the second highest paid person. So, yeah, they can do quite well.
In order to get to your position, would one need to go to college or university at all?
No, you don't need to go to university, you just have to take financial exams.
Okay, and would that, to get to the level that you are, would that be possible to then get at least a six-digit salary per annum?
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're very good. If somebody wants to get in that position now, would you say they would need to, for example, have a college or university education, or
Yes.
is not necessary?
Definitely.
And
yeah.
if they're really good at this, could they make a six-digit figure per annum as their salary?
Only at the very top. There's a lot of people that don't make anything like that.
Right.
I would think you would need a university education now. Certainly some qualifications in personnel management or something like that.
So how much could one make in a year if they wanted to sort of start this job as a starter and get to the position that you are in? Just approximately, could that be like a six-digit?
Yeah,
Sort of
250 a year.
250K a year,
Usually,
yeah. And do they need to go to university and college for that, or not necessary?
I didn't.
Okay,
No,
great. Thank
I
you very
didn't.
much.
You don't have to necessarily do that.
Experience is the most important thing, I would say.
Yep.
So you need to know what you're doing, because if you don't, then it's very easy to fail. Obviously, I do this for 20 years, so I'm kind of experienced in what I do. But for example, if me and you, we start building properties, what do we know about properties? We don't know where to start from. So that means we're not experienced and we're more likely to fail in that business. But when you know what you're doing and you put your heart and soul into it, it can work out, definitely.
Well, I started by going to university and then doing the professional qualifications. I'm not sure what the criteria is now, but generally they take graduates.
Yeah, but if we want to equivalent that to today's numbers, would you say that it would be possible to make a 6 digits figure?
Probably getting on that way, yes.
And how long have you been doing that for?
15 years.
15 years. And as you know, the US presidential election is just coming up in the next few days.
Oh, yes, it is.
being based in England, would you say Trump would be the better choice for England and rest of the world, or Kamala?
Definitely not Kamala Harris. Definitely Donald Trump. Donald Trump is for the free world, the freedom of speech, free trade, everything. Kamala Harris is a globalist's puppet. Globalists for 50, 60 years have been working on this now. It's globally, worldwide. They've taken over so many governments in so many countries around the world. If Trump does not get in, as far as I'm concerned, it's the end of the free world, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Okay. I'll probably go and live off grid somewhere, because I am not left-wing communist in any way, shape or form.
Not Trump.
Not Trump. Okay. And yourself?
Based on my policies, I would prefer not to vote for either of them because I don't like either of them. I wouldn't vote for Trump because I don't think he's a fit person to be in office. So I would probably have to vote for Harris, but I don't believe in her either.
Harris.
Okay, Kamala Harris. And why is that? What is about her that you think would make her the better choice?
I don't think Trump is reliable or stable enough. He goes from one extreme to another. I think he's doubtful how he's made all his money, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I have been in the Trump Tower, and I'm still bewildered how he managed to get enough money to build the Trump Tower.
I think for the rest of the world, it would be Trump.
Okay.
Just because his stance on Ukraine, North Korea, China, and what he does for the borders in the US. So that's why I think it would be Trump.
100% Trump.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he's, like I said, I've got family in America. I'm actually going now in December. If you want that country not to sink, I think Trump is the last option, and I'll tell you why. The way he said it, then people, they've got no airports, they've got no roads, they've got nothing, but they're sending millions and billions to Ukraine for a war, but they've got nothing. Then again, all this LGBTQ and all this is getting out of hand with all this. Like, you go to school and they teach about the wrong things, and Trump is very against that. And the only reason, my main reason supporting him is because of that. The world is going crazy and he will not allow that. So I think if he's coming up as president, it's going to be a very good thing for America. If not, I don't think he will, to be honest with you, and it is what it is. But yeah, definitely 100% Trump. He's a smart guy, he knows what he's saying. Obviously, he's after their money, he made his money. So I think whatever he's going to do, he's just going to do out of heart and passion, because he loves this country. The other ones are just, I don't know, they're all in cahoots, the way I say it.
Well, that's going to be a tough one. Trump probably has the best policies, but the worst dreadful personality. And Harris probably leans a lot to the left, but she's seems to be a decent, honest person. And I think most Americans will probably vote with the wallet, and Trump will be the president. But as far as personality is concerned and everything else, he's highly undesirable, and Harris would be a much better, decent person with the state of the world.
Kamala Harris.
Okay. And why Kamala? Why not Donald Trump?
I think Donald Trump's track record tells us everything we need to know about him to know that he wouldn't be a good president.
And you said Harris, right? Is it because she's a woman? Because you yourself said
Probably
Harris.
because the party aligns more with my vision. But
Okay.
then also, I think Trump's an awful.
No, none at all. Or her ethnicity. Neither of that makes any difference. I think people are far too much influenced by things like that. The only thing that should influence us is the people's ethics and their policies.
I'm going to vote for her because she's a woman. I'd say they're probably uneducated and need to look at her policies and look at the Democrats' policies. And I mean, it only goes to show you when Starmer sends a British contingent to America to interfere with the election, which he has done 2 or 3 weeks ago. And now Trump has come out and said, when he gets in, which he will, unless they try and steal the election again, that he's going to go after Starmer, and that's the best thing that he can do. Starmer's more or less backed the Democrats. He's more or less he said, we will support Kamala and we will support the Democrats. He doesn't speak for me, he doesn't speak for English people.
So based on those statements, as you mentioned, Trump has got certain policies, such as maybe improving the economy or controlling the border. Harris has got obviously different policies. She seems to have the better personality of the two. So based on that, if you had to pick one of them, you would pick Kamala Harris, right?
Without a doubt, I would pick Harris, even with all her faults and the fact that she's not totally solid on her policies. Seems slightly vague to me, listening to the media, the television and the news. But still overriding is the quality of being a decent person. And the way Trump tells fibs, and he's been criminally convicted and will pardon himself, which seems unbelievable in this country, that they could put someone forward to be president who's criminal convictions. It just seems totally unbelievable.
So would you say that those are good policies that he's got in place? Because obviously that's working for him. He's getting the vote of at least half the country over that. So what are your thoughts about those policies?
Without knowing the detail, I don't think his policies are that equitable for the whole country.
Okay.
And as I said before, I think if you aren't a person that you can trust and you aren't a decent human being, it doesn't really matter what your policies are. You shouldn't be anywhere near presidency.
Yeah, because he always puts the US economy before the Chinese economy, right?
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
I think the tariffs he puts on place on the Chinese economy, I think, is really important for the US.
Absolutely. And what do you think of the fact that a lot of Kamala supporters say they're only voting for her because she's a woman, or she's from an ethnic minority, or she's not Trump? That's the reason many of them have.
Yeah, well, I think when they had Obama was the worst president on record. Although he was from a different ethnic background, I think he was the worst president that the US have ever had. Dropped more bombs on people than anyone else in history. So I think for that reason, I don't know much about Kamala Harris, but I think for me it's Trump.
Everybody says they're going to improve the economy. I've never heard anybody say they're not going to improve the economy, and he didn't do such a great job in his last presidency. As for the borders, I think that's a difficult position, because I do think there needs to be some border control, but not just building a wall or shooting people, which I think are probably his policies.
So what would you think is going to happen if Trump gets elected? And obviously the Prime Minister of England has already backed his opponent.
I'm not sure. They'll probably ruin the relationship, if any, that we had. So it's going to be a very different world. We'll have to see.
Right.
I think the problem is a lot of people have got a mistrust of Trump, and I think they're probably willing to try anything other than Trump. Although some people admire what he's been doing, others think it's the wrong approach.
A lot of people in the US are actually going to vote for him again because they believe that their finances, their financial situation was much better when Donald Trump was in office, as opposed to the current administration with Biden and Kamala Harris in the office. So would you have a message for those people at all?
Yes, I understand that people vote for what they think is going to be best for them personally, but I think you have to see it in a much broader scope. I mean, if you've lost your job or your area loses an industry, I can understand that is very, very bad. But underlying all this is, you know, America's a huge country, and to make a policy that's going to be beneficial to everybody realistically is not on.
Just before you go, I wish America the very best of luck, because at the moment, with the way that they're behaving in America, it's certainly not creating a great impression whatsoever. We used to look up to America as the leader of the West, but the way they behave, the gun laws, the fact that Trump's running again is not a really a great picture. But let's hope it turns out the best for America, and then hopefully for the rest of the world as well.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Much
you.
appreciated. Have a lovely rest of the day. Thank
You
you.
too.
Take care. Thanks. Bye. Just before continuing with the video, I just wanted to point out that whilst asking many people off camera to take part in the interview and explaining the questions that would be asked, I came across multiple Trump supporters who told me their views off camera but did not agree to go on camera because of various concerns that they had. For example, one person mentioned that he works at a company that is run by liberals, and if they saw his interview and found out that he's a Trump supporter, he may face unpleasant consequences. Even amongst the people who did actually take part in this interview, two of the Trump supporters asked me to blur their faces based on the possibility of unnecessary reactions that they may receive afterwards. Now back to the video. The next interview is with a young student and not a rich working individual, but because of her great analysis of the situation, the interview has been included right at the end of the video. So please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. Hi there, how are you?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you so much for taking part in this interview.
It's okay.
May I ask you what you do for work at the moment?
I'm currently a student, so I'm doing my A-levels, and then I hope to go to university next year. Well,
Okay,
this year, technically.
And what do you plan to study?
Law.
Law?
Yeah.
And when you are out of the university, fresh out of uni,
Yeah.
what sort of salary would you be looking at as a fresh starter?
Well, it depends. If you go in London, I think about 25k a year, maybe. I'm not fully aware of what the salaries are for undergrad. I think it depends on the university a lot of the time, but yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And as you know, the US presidential election is coming up
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah.
And the race is between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
If you were in the US right now, which one would you pick? And as somebody who lives in England,
Yeah.
do you think that Trump would be a better choice for England and also the rest of the world, or would you say Kamala Harris? As far as both pros and cons are concerned,
Yeah,
you know,
no,
each have their own pros and cons.
I think, as a disclaimer, I'm not fully educated around politics, and I think I probably should be, considering the career I want to go into and considering kind of how important politics is and what happens in America, but also here. But I think both sides, I don't think it's as clear as just saying one side is awful and one side is amazing. I think I wouldn't consider myself pro-Trump or pro-Harris necessarily. I think probably more pro-Harris than pro-Trump, just because of the things I'm aware of in terms of what Trump has said about women's rights, especially the overturning Roe v. Wade. I think that's shocking. I think it's appalling. I think it's dystopian what's happening. But I think it's important that everyone's educated around it, and people online aren't just like, okay, well, so-and-so said this side is good, we must vote for them. I think it's important, and I think there should be a push as well to educate young people around it, because there is a lack of young people actually voting. There's political apathy from a lot of people, and I think it's important that there's education around politics and to inform young people on who they truly think they should vote for.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for your
it's
time.
okay.
I appreciate that. Have a great rest
It's
of the day.
okay.